Hello. Today I'm going to say something about ontology. Of course, relating to the concept of instancology. Uh, well, give you some background first, if you are not familiar with it. And basically, instancology has three parts: the double A, absolutely absolute; the micro world, MICRO, micro world, and the macro world, MACRO world. Okay? And the concept of each uh, has some, uh, needs some explanation. Well, think about it this way. In all the history of philosophy, since ancient times, since uh, uh, Thales, how do you say that name? Thales, I think it's Thales. Till now, and so many years, he started with water is everything. The basic concepts under which there's a theory, a system, of course. Everybody, every philosopher's contribution to the system is a series of major concepts. And water, air, virtue, form, yeah, Plato's, Aristotle's, the metaphysics, later on till Descartes and the examination of uh, the recognition and the British and the Germans. Think about that. Everybody has some contribution about the major concepts. The most recent, like Heidegger being, right? Like if you go back a little, and that's Hegel's, the absolute spirit, or a lot of other people. The thing is, with those concepts, one by one, you will understand what they mean by that. That's a system, all right? Till Wittgenstein's language, either the the prior or the after, they call it Wittgenstein, the network or the play of words or rules of playing, whatever you take it. So, in the system of instancology, I'll say this. The three major parts I mentioned just now, has in itself its own major concepts. In the macro world, that is our world, with time, space as a dimension, actually, in this system, it's called the property of the matter. Okay, the Big Bang started from here because of the movement or activity, whatever you call it. It come into being. We have Big Bang in this world. Everything started from the Big Bang, with the time and the space coming into this. All right. So in terms of levels of reality, whatever happened in the macro world, the world with the time and the space, we call it existence. Everything existence. All right. We can say, let's say, I'm seeing a tree. The tree has existence. And if we want to define it, and let's say Heidegger mentioned being, or actually that's a concept since Parmenides, 2,500 years ago. We'll say, let me say this, in the form or in the micro world, in instancology, the being, I'll say it's the prior concept or notation before the existence of the micro world. So it's a micro world versus macro world in this division. So everything in the micro world is without time-space as its property because it's not there yet. All right, because you can say the root reason is the activity, the activation, not as much. It doesn't reach the point of breaking into the time-space, into the other world. That's what I understand. So being is existence in the way that is not or cannot be recognized or cannot be seen, cannot be touched, cannot be experienced. But how do you know that? You might ask. Well, let me just finish this part first, then we'll talk about that. The reason why, how do we know it? Why we know it? Okay. So in this macro world, we have being. All right, the being as existence in the macro world. In Chinese, I call it 存在. All right, and also I brought up another concept called 在, that meaning it's a potential. I'm thinking I will use the word to be as a major concept versus being. Okay, so to be is prior to being, logically. Okay, not in terms of time, because in this world of micro heaven, we don't have any measure of time. So we say it's logically prior to being. To be is prior to the being in the sense that it's not quite separated or not quite separable from each other. Or you may say it's not identifiable in a sense. But when you say identify, it relates to epistemology. It has the connotation of how do we know it? Here we are not talking about this part. We are talking about ontology, the ontological truth. All right. So it is